So it's 2:20 on April the 23rd, and I was just going to talk about this for a little minute. It's really warm in the sun, but it's not so warm here now. Anyway, I read this book, and I do plan on making the seitan recipes on page 72 and 73 because I don't have a problem with gluten. But it is funny to see, like, you don't see many gluten recipes these days. Anyway, I'm gonna try that, but I have to say, it says that it's this author, #1 New York Times best-selling author, and reading this, it's basically a non-diet though, isn't it? I mean, you kick a bunch of things and then you let them back in, right? So I don't know. You know what? At least I guess if you're eating healthier for a little while, it's better than not at all, right? But and then you don't feel so bad when you have a chocolate bar again or whatever, and then you don't feel like, oh well, I guess that diet showed, because you plan for it, you know. So whatever. I think it's probably better to learn what you're doing wrong and try to improve, and just accept the little fallbacks you have every now and then, and look at the big picture though. Look at it for, like, when I look back a year, I'm eating healthier now than I was a year ago, and I'm eating healthier a year ago than I was a year before that. So I feel good about the progress I've made. But honestly, I remember buying seitan when I was young, and I do enjoy it, but I'd never buy it now. But I would buy tempeh, and yeah, it looks revolting. You have to be careful about what brands you get, because some are disgusting. But anyway, tempeh's awesome. I love tempeh. But you don't see a lot of recipes for tempeh, even though it's certainly a superior product, because it's harder to make. So, but I've been meaning to make it. I have one recipe that seems pretty straightforward. They use styrofoam cooler. Anyway, may as well try it out. I made my own yogurt before and was surprised by how easy it was to make, but I haven't been eating yogurt, so no point in making it now. But if you do, try making it. It's easy. I was talking to one guy who made his own probiotic cultures from just, he bought the probiotics in the little containers that are really expensive. They sell them in the cooler section of the grocery store. Anyway, he said you just keep filling, like you empty it out, and then you keep filling the same container with whatever, and it just keeps culturing. So he told me to try that, and I didn't try it. But it probably works. Basically the same principle as yogurt, right? Anyway, so I can see why this is a #1 bestseller sort of thing, because it's like a non-diet. So you go on this and you think, yeah, I'm on a diet that it's not hard at all for me to maintain, because I'm just basically doing the same thing that I've always done. So whatever. Maybe I'm not being fair. Got these spoons from Superstore. And they're as big as ladles. Broccoli. But the 2 recipes that I mentioned in here, they do work. The rest of the recipes don't. Like, they're not to me. If you ate meat, I mean, some of them don't look too bad. There's a whole lot of beef kind of recipes in here, which again, I guess people like that, but
I don't think the animals love this meat.
if you like meatloaf sort of things, there's a lot of that kind of thing in here. Sage, walnut, lentil loaf.
So that has no meat in it.
No, but
Wow.
it has Worcestershire sauce and yogurt and eggs.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only things that are close to meatish. It looks good.
It's got mushrooms in it.
Yeah, how can you go wrong with that?
Yeah.
We're pretty big fans of mushrooms. When I was at the grocery store yesterday, I piled as many into my bag as I could of the cremini mushrooms that were almost as big as portobellos. And one man said, and I thought I liked mushrooms. And his wife came over and he said, look at her mushrooms.
Yeah.
They were just shocked. But this is what we eat a lot of mushrooms, I guess. But, I never really thought of it. Other people eat a lot of meat. And
Yeah, of course.
I guess this doesn't seem unusual to me. Now, when people mention, wow, what do you do with all that ginger? I understand. Or garlic, when I'm walking away with a couple bags of garlic. But mushrooms, it's like, doesn't everybody eat this much? You're awesome. But yeah, those are the only 2 recipes I plan on making out of this. I don't know, something like they have grain-free pizzas that they're making out of chickpea flour. So I could make those for you if you want to give that a go.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. We use a lot of chickpea flour and pea flour because it's cheap.
What are other things that you could use instead of chickpea flour? Do they make
Pea flour?
potato flour or pea flour?
They make pea flour. We eat pea flour.
Why don't they make potato flour?
Well, why? I don't want to use... We already eat enough potatoes. I don't want to.
Well, I was just a
Oh, yeah, you
How
don't
about
like chickpeas.
Well, how about sweet potato? That's not easy.
Well, you like peas. I'll just make it with pea flour.
I'm just thinking, yeah, they're pretty good. But sweet potatoes
So
are
I
healthier.
might try that, but I won't. They use it with whole milk or unsweetened soy milk, and I'm going to use it with almond milk because that's.
Yeah.
I mean, we could make it with ground almonds instead, but that'd be super expensive. Chickpea flour or pea flour is cheap. I mean, you won't even taste it, really.
Probably not, especially if there's a lot of tomato paste or whatever. Oh yeah, it's a nice day. Wow.
I know, it's fantastic.
Never thought I'd say that again.
Yeah, this winter was a trial.
I bet. People elsewhere had worse winters than us. Wait about anyone north of here. They're still having winter. Some of them.
Anyway, okay, I'll bookmark that one too. We'll make some pizza crust out of that because you like pizzas a lot.
You bet.
So this would be a way for me to make a healthier pizza for you.
Of course, it could be a lot of recipe.
That's pretty funny. Like this recipe book, crumbled tempeh, all phases. So you're thinking, if you read the index, you're thinking they give you a tempeh recipe. They do not. They tell you you make it with olive oil, salt, and tempeh.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
That would lose me right away.
I know. When I see recipes like this in a book, anyway, it's a discipline. I gotta say, that's not a recipe. Anyway, there was another thing that I wanted to mention about this book that I didn't like. They recommend roasting your nuts. Don't. That's not healthy. So yes, you're not so. My sister was like, "Oh, the kids, they like the roasted nuts. They don't like the." Okay, yeah, because sure it tastes better, whatever, but it's not as healthy. And if you're finding your walnuts aren't as flavorful as you would like, and you're finding you like the flavor of toasted walnuts, try black walnuts. They're much more flavorful, and you can grow them here. So you could plant your own tree if you like them. And they're the walnuts you find in the baking aisle that you would use in banana bread or whatever. They're very strong flavored walnuts. So you don't have to toast them or roast them or anything like that. Just try that. And
so what's that, Jugman's Niagara?
it is.
Awesome.
You've been working on learning.
No, I just remember that from about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Same thing with liriodendron and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd
things
be
I remember.
nice if we could have a tulip tree one day. But not here, I don't. Well, who knows? The weather is changing. I might be able to plant one and it'll live. So. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention that. Whenever you're trying to eat healthier, like say for example the recipe I just told you about that's really not a recipe, crumbled tempeh, ridiculous. If you're heating olive oil, like just think about it for a minute. If you're buying cold pressed extra virgin olive oil because you want a healthier olive oil, so you're getting cold pressed, and then you take it home and you heat it up, come on. You know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that's maybe not the best, healthiest thing you can do with your olive oil. So if you're watching, I've talked to people who, they say, oh, you know, I watch the Food Network or whatever, and they use olive oil in cooking and whatever. They're not nutritionists or dietitians, or they're not experts on health. They're not making healthy food. That is not their goal.
Some of them aren't even good cooks. You hear that, Rachel Ray?
Oh yeah, he doesn't like her. But she's cute.
Yeah, she is.
And
Kind of, sort of.
she's kind of bubbly. People like
True.
that.
I guess. But doesn't make up the fact that she ain't much of a cook.
But I don't think she'd put crumbled tempeh in a recipe book. All
Maybe
the same.
not.
Yeah, I think that's...
I don't think she'd put tempeh at all, would she?
Maybe. Anyway.
It's kind of like how to make a sandwich. I kind of know that already, and I don't know much of it.
And also, other people have told me before, well, you know that person's a good cook because they're really large. You know, they're a hefty person, so you know they're sampling their own wares, and they must be a good cook.
Like Paula Deen.
Well, she's bubbly.
Yeah, she is. I don't think she's on TV anymore, but
I enjoyed watching her.
so did I.
Anyway, and the Barefoot Contessa, I enjoyed watching her. But and I'm sure their food tastes lovely. I can't remember trying one of their recipes in the past, but
I got hungry watching their show.
sure. I'm not saying that hefty people aren't good cooks, but it may not be the healthiest food in the world that they're cooking.
It's true. I
Right?
suspect with Paula Deen it's a combination of health and maybe a little bit too much. His serving size of the food. No, she's
I love the way
enthusiastic.
she was always feeding the dogs while she was cooking them.
And
Wasn't
fed her husband.
Yeah,
That was
great.
But the story goes she was a bit of a racist or something like that. But I don't know if it was just that she let one word slip once.
I don't
Sometimes
know. I
people
don't
are
know
a little
about any of that
unforgiving
sort of thing.
about
Yeah.
that
I don't know anything about that. All I know is I did enjoy that her dog was in the kitchen at her feet. and
Was
stuff
it
like
just
that.
one dog?
I don't know. I can't
How could she
remember.
stop at one? She
I don't
probably have a ton
know.
of them, right?
Yeah.
Huge big dogs. Was it a hunting dog?
I can't remember. We'll have to
Should
look
have been a
into
big
that.
lazy bloodhound.
Might have been a lab or something.
Oh, that's
you know,
nice. See, like people who have labs, I don't think they have that. We were a pit bull, you know, with a little Ku Klux Klan cone on top
bandana
of
on.
its head.
Yeah, or whatever. I don't know.
And a white sheet.
Yeah.
I would have worried.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I think she was entertaining to watch. Anyhow, that's it. That's our deck dinner for the 23rd.